This is a quick video on the explanation of what took place with the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 battery fiasco with them exploding phones. Basically, Samsung decided that they needed to lower their tolerances to such a level that when the manufacturers are making the actual case that the battery sits in, as well as the battery manufacturer making their tolerances for their batteries, the slight difference over the thousands and thousands of repetitions cause a little bit of discrepancy in the manufacturing process, which the end result was that a battery, when being charged, got molecules inside of it that were excited, also known as heat. And when those molecules were super excited, they caused pressure on the case, the battery case itself, which then expands because these products that they're making only out of plastics. So the expansion on that plastic is only so much before it's going to give completely, resulting in the battery continuing to swell. And since the case, the way that the batteries were in the Samsung Note 7, unlike all of these here, they have a sealed in battery. So when you build a product that has the battery sealed in, super tight tolerances, and no room for it to expand because the case doesn't pop off, everything being sealed in, once that battery swells, because when it's plugged in, it's going to get excited molecules, that's going to swell the battery, and over time, which I'll show you in a second here, those batteries are naturally going to swell regardless, because that's how batteries work with the lifetime of them. These are lithium-ion batteries. That's how they're going to work. So, if Samsung had made their phones with removable cases, they wouldn't have had this problem. And or if they were having battery issues where the batteries were swelling too quickly, they could have just replaced batteries and not had to issue a recall on the entire device, which really sucks because it was a great device. So let me explain to you what's going on here. You can see these batteries here. These are all brand new batteries. They're all super hard. Let's go ahead and look at these batteries here. I mean, you should be able to see just right off the bat the different dimensions of them and the shape. This is actually a pretty decent battery. Even though it's been used, you can feel I'm pushing down on it. It's very hard. This one is giving a little bit, which you should be able to see on screen. And then you look at this one here. That one is near the end of its life. But you can see from this hardness, over time, that battery is naturally going to swell. If you look at this one here, this one's pretty much at the end of its life. That one flexes tremendously. So let's see if we can get a comparison on the shape here for you. You can see these batteries will rock just by pushing on the edge. You can see how swollen they are. These, very light, and this super hard one, it ain't moving when you're pushing on the edges. You can see the thickness right there, how much thicker it is right here than right here. So basically, when your battery is getting charged and swelling and expanding inside of the Note 7 because this spacing in here for the battery to fit, because it still has a compartment with a connector that's probably hardwired onto it, but it still has a compartment that battery then needs to sit into inside the case, and then the back part of the case that's on it is sealed on in the manufacturing process, and that battery is still going to swell. These batteries are going to swell. But having a removable battery makes life a lot simpler. It makes life simpler for the manufacturer, it makes life simpler for the user, and it makes life better because instead of having to go to a wall and get juice whenever you need it, you can literally just power down your phone, pop a new battery in, and keep continuing on with your life. And hell, Samsung could have kept continuing on with their life of the Note 7 had they actually had the forethought and understood what they were doing when they were manufacturing and sending these tolerances out to third parties to manufacture certain products for them. When they have such a tight tolerance that you need to be at, and every specific manufacturer along the line going into the manufacturing of this phone has to meet that tolerance, but at a certain point when they're producing thousands and thousands of them, a tiny little fraction gets changed in the manufacturing from 1 to that 10,000th, 25,000th, 100,000th, whatever it may have been, and then along the line, someone else's defect gets combined, and when that battery goes into that compartment and there is absolutely no room for it to swell, you have what you get, which is a battery not exploding, but releasing the chemicals from inside of itself after it swells to the point where the case can no longer hold the pressure that's coming in, inside of it. You got excited molecules moving around. They need to release the pressure somehow, and since it's plastic, it's going to pop that plastic. And then you're going to see it venting out through the rest of the phone, or looking like it's burning through the phone because it's releasing those chemicals at that point. So you have a battery that is basically seeming like it's malfunctioning, but it's really because of the case pressure around the battery and not giving the battery enough room to expand. Even if those batteries had some sort of problem when they were being built, if there was room for it to expand within the phone itself would not have had the catastrophe that it had. But because they had these sealed-in batteries, they caused themselves a tremendous amount of more problems than they needed to have. So let that be a lesson to all of the manufacturers out there who are putting batteries inside of their devices. You want a super recall, or do you want to have a simple problem to solve?